watching Morning at NTV.
It's now 20 minutes to 8 a.m. Thank you so much for keeping it here on Morning at NTV. Stephen Imbidon Pepeswechuga now standing by to give you the traffic and travel update that you need this morning as you set off from your home, or if you're driving and watching us online, just know that here from Lugogo, I'm just facing the vehicles coming from the direction of Kampala here. It's just a 2 minutes waiting time for you who is coming from the city, proceeding towards Nakawa through Lugogo here, which is, as you see there on your screen, is just a 2 minutes wait if you head towards the traffic lights, and from there heading towards the Nakawa side you'll not be interrupted long from the traffic lights continuing towards the stretcher side. And if you know you're coming from Buya, Chambogo, Banda, Chireka, or that side of Untina, using the side of Semawata Road, or connecting through the Kembabazi and the stretcher heading towards Nakawa, just know that between the stretcher at Nakawa and the traffic lights of Nakawa, that's just know that there is kind of something like 10 minutes of your waiting time before you find less of congestion here as you drive towards Lugogo and continue towards the city. I saw when I was coming from there, at least I've seen vehicles moving towards the Chitugumu House traffic lights much faster. And finally, for those coming from Bokoto side or coming from Naguru and you're trying to connect towards the Lugogo bypass, as you drive towards the traffic Senior Secondary School and joining this Lugogo traffic lights, just know that's only also less than 5 minutes of waiting time as we get towards here at the Forest Mall and shop game here at Nakawa. But I'd rather to Lugogo, and as you join the city, I told you less of congestion. This is the traffic and travel update coming to you live on Morning at NTV. And now I have to hand you to Chris because he has more conversations that you need this Tuesday morning. Back to you, Chris. I'll be speaking to you later on.
Much Stephen Mbide for that traffic update, of course, showing the situation across parts of the city that is happening as people get onto the hustle today. We are now going straight into our Kickstarter conversation this morning. The situation in Karamoja. Reports say security situation there is deteriorating sharply, of course, after some raids from Turkana people who attack the Karamojong on this side of the border and make away with their cattle. But there are also tensions within the communities, especially with the Uganda People's Defense Forces, on what is said to be the high-handedness and even alleged cases of human rights abuses in the conduct of the disarmament process. Just a brief on exactly what the situation is. A security expert is quoted by some of the media reports saying that what happened in 2006 to 2011 during the disarmament process perhaps set the stage for what is happening right now, that the aspects that were dealt with at the time were not covered sufficiently enough, and that some of the pockets of insecurity that are beginning to open up are as a result of that. Joining me on the program this morning are my guests, Jimbricky Ochero, the Member of Parliament for Labwor. That is, you have a little bit of more detail on that. Ernest Ayen, the youth chairperson in Abim district. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Chris.
I'll begin with Mr. Jimbricky Ochero. Give us a very brief background of what is happening in Karamoja right now in light of what happened last week, the attack on 3 geologists and 2 UPDF officers that were killed.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for hosting us.
Yeah.
Good morning, viewers. I must thank NTV for giving us this opportunity to come and debate this critical issue at this moment.
Yes.
Chris, I can assure you that Karamoja, as you know, is the size of Rwanda, 27,000 square kilometers.
That's a huge expanse of land.
It's too much. Inhabited by several ethnic groups. Karamoja has 3 parts. There's the North Karamoja, basically as the Dodoth. Then there's the Central Karamoja as the GA. Then the Lower Karamoja as the real people call Karamojong, by the way.
Okay.
And the Karamojong again subdivided into 3 groups. There's Madaniko in Moroto district. There's Bokora. There's Pian. In the real sense of it,
yes,
those were the people called the Karamojong. But there are also other communities like the GA, the Dodoth, the Ik, the Tepeth, the Upe, that one that borders Amodat, there's a Labwor, a tour in Abim people. So you can imagine this Katogo. All these are now the Karamojong.
Yeah, sure.
Now, no wonder the conflict. There are conflicting there are armed communities inside this, and there are others which are armless. There are communities that possess illegal gun. There are those who don't. Like, for example, the Karenga people, like Abim people. Those are Karamojong who are not armed. They are normal, like any other. They don't participate in raids. But conflict. But there are others that participate in armed conflict and also overflood to this unarmed community. Now, by 1970s, Karamoja had become so lawless. Why? It was there before, but the magnitude was not so much coupled with harms. But by the overthrow in 1971, and the warriors running into mortar barracks, and generally, they disembarked on the armory and removed all arms. Hell broke loose there, my brother.
Was that in 1971, 79?
Yes, 71.
Okay.
It became worse, that overthrow. They armed themselves. From there, Karamoja became ungovernable. It was even successive governments. So Karamoja like a land occupied by lawless people and bloodthirsty people. And continuous neglect, right from the time of British. Now, when NRM came to power, they thought of putting sense in Karamoja. No wonder what you're talking about, the 2006-2016 peace. It came as a result of the rigorous disarmament exercise, which eventually became successful. The peace reigned in Karamoja, therefore, for some 10 years. For example, in between those 10 years, for example, I can give an example. I was chairman district Abim. I was LC5 chairman Abim district. From 2003, for example, Abim had 2,790 cows. But by 2016, when peace was restored in Karamoja,
just give us that figure again.
Abim had 2,790 cows. 2,700 by 2006, when disarmament started. By the end, when peace ended in 2016, Abim had got 42,000 animals. Imagine just enjoying peace for just 10 years.
Just for 10 years, they were able to reproduce. And
government program of restocking, and already 3/4 of the people were using oxen for plowing. Already a cattle market had opened. People had begun realizing the real, what they call household income. But as we talk now, from 42,000, we only have 4,500 and something.
Those are two issues that I pick from your conversation. The fact that the community within Karamoja is so multifaceted. There are so many ethnic groupings in there. And then the fact that there has been neglect on the part of the government to ensure that perhaps there is harmony, but most importantly, the disarmament to be able to remove the guns that most of the people took. When you look at these two aspects, very quickly, what should be done?
I thought, thank you very much. I thought I should have brought briefly first how we deteriorated. Then I will come to that, sir.
Okay, quickly.
Quickly, the peace reigned. And people lived so peacefully together. You can't believe. Now, this animosity you see now running up and down Karamoja started smallly in Moroto district near a dam called Kobebe, where all the Karamojong were there together already. Bokora, the GA, the Turkana also came in. It started a small trouble between two people. One stole the animal of the other. It was not recovered. Then the other revenge. But don't forget that the Turkana those who come in with the guns.
Yeah, the Turkana do come in with the guns.
Very good.
They seem to be more organized in terms of going into cattle raids. It's more of a business for them. Actually,
they are not disarmed. For them in Kenya, they don't raid one another. So government sort of don't see them as a problem. They only raid inside Uganda. They don't raid themselves inside. So they're not a challenge to their government. But now the problem is that now when raid started between Madaniko and GA, our people, because they were disarmed, started looking for alliance in order to get arms. To overpower the other. So communities that were previously unarmed and peaceful indeed sought those that had been able to get arms, and then the process began. The process began. So it started between Madaniko in Moroto and GA in Kotido. Not knowing We started, as MPs, we started making alarm over this matter. We saw danger coming. We started making alarm as members of parliament, even before we were sworn in. We started saying, look, there is smoke coming, fire should be there. Yeah. We started alerting the country. We made them leadership. We told them, no, fire is coming. Little did we know, it started involving other districts. Bit by bit, it has covered the whole of Karamoja. Comrade, as we talk, it has even overflooded Karamoja. Unfortunately, it is now affecting districts neighboring Karamoja. Anteso sub-region. Actually, don't talk about that. Sebei, don't talk about that. Bugisu, don't talk about that. The thing is now, because even the Dodoth had now sought alliance with the Topaza from Sudan to come and assist them against the GA, who sought alliance from the Turkana. You can see the whole mix-up.
Okay, you seem to be on top of this in terms of the cocktail of factors that are responsible for the latest state of affairs in Karamoja. You speak of the fact that government perhaps is not doing enough to ensure that it addresses this particular issue. Have you come out with a concept, some sort of plan that you have handed to government? Because you like it or not, it is the leadership within Karamoja that understands this problem best, and the solutions should be coming from you. Have you approached government with a comprehensive solution on how best it can be tackled?
Thank you very much, Chris. Chris, like I said, as leaders of Karamoja, we did not sit down. From the very beginning when this started, we know where this thing was going to go to. We put a lot of effort. As members of parliament, you remember, we even missed the State of Nation address by the president in Kololo, because all of us had gone to Karamoja to analyze this thing quickly and to come up with a way forward quickly.
What is that way forward?
The way forward that we came with are actually documented. We documented as the caravan. As members of parliament, we have a whole 34-page document, way forward, that we presented to government.
And what are the critical pointers in that?
Now, critical pointers in that was that we discovered the boots on the ground were few.
By the UPDF and...
Completely by the UPDF and the forces that be. Yeah. That the forces on the ground were so few that they could not contain the already high level of insecurity. We said, as immediate as possible, deploy enough manpower in Karamoja. We thought this could contain the fire inside, so that even by now the neighbors will not be crying. Secondly, we thought involvement of the local people. UPDF, wherever they have fought successive battles, they have been having forces that augment them.
That's right.
They fought in Congo, in Acholi, they had in Teso, they had Arab boys in what. We said, no, look, no, let's have the auxiliary forces immediately to reinforce the UPDF, because warriors operate in thin numbers, which are not very simple for organized force to manage them. We said, no, look, let us bring in another angle, augmenting force.
Well, that's very interesting. I would like to bring in Mr. Ernest Ayen, the youth chairperson for Abim district. Mr. Jimbricky Ochero speaks about the fact that the Uganda People's Defense Forces and the other security forces, and generally the government, have not been able to engage the communities within Karamoja region in how best this situation can be put to rest. As a youth leader, can you share with us some of the interventions perhaps that you are on the receiving end of from the government, from the UPDF, because the youth form a huge chunk of the people who are supposed to provide the community security, and then I believe there are many youth there who also own these cows and they need to protect them. Perhaps they need guns, and they could have a genuine reason as to why they need those guns in order to protect their cows. As a youth chairperson, have you been engaged, or have you actually attempted to engage the government?
Thank you very much, Chris, and to the viewers. See, we have made very many attempts as young people to reach out to people in government that we think can help solve the situation of Karamoja. I personally have reached to the minister, that is Maria Igoretich Tutu, several times, that we need to engage the youth in this process of building peace. Because if you look at many of the people who are engaged in raids, these are young people. Yeah, very young people. And we are telling them, for us to engage with these people, we must make them feel that we need them. We must go and look for them wherever they are, and then engage them, and then try to find out exactly what is not happening. And when when in our engagements with these young people, they actually talk to us about what is not happening, what is not going right with them.
And what is that?
And we found out that after the first disarmament in 2006, there were certain issues that were not addressed by the government. One, there was a promise that when the Karamojongs take back their guns, the government is going to give them security. The government is going to ensure that their animals are safe. But what happened after? They did not see that happening. When the animals were being protected by the security forces, they still lost the animals. And there was no satisfactory explanation to why the animals were getting lost even in the hands of the government. So they felt that they could go back and get their guns and protect their animals themselves. Secondly, after the disarmament of the Karamojongs, the government did not come in with a clear livelihood program of how to make these people resettle. They took their guns, which they used for surviving, but what other plan did they come to resettle these people who had taken back their guns? So these people felt their guns was doing them a big deal, and when they took it back, they were suffering. And the other issue is about poverty and hunger. If you go to many of these districts in Karamoja, I've gotten time to interact with many villagers across Karamoja. There is a lot of poverty and there is a serious problem of hunger. You cannot dialogue with someone who has nothing to lose. These young people have nothing to lose. Therefore, even their lives, they are not scared to lose it. So that is the frustration in the young people. And of course, I think what is now causing serious, you know, in Karamoja, when some of these young people are killed, you find someone with a school ID, you find someone with a question paper, and some of them are traced to be students in school. Some of them are looking for tuition.
That's right.
To further their education. So that is what forces them. I think there is, to me, I think the insecurity in Karamoja is just a symptom of underlying issues. And if we address those issues, I think we can address the issue of insecurity, both in a long term and in a short term.
Oh, that's very interesting. I would like to concentrate a little bit more on the youth factor within this particular conflict and crisis. We have had reports before of ongoing mineral exploration works within the region, and the youth stand at the center of the labor force in that particular region in terms of the minerals that are being excavated or mined from the areas there. How are the youth engaged in this? Is there some sort of discontent perhaps that if we cannot get the jobs at the mines, then we can step back into cattle rustling, which often comes to the extreme of raiding? Is there concerted effort to address the labor question among the youth?
You see, Chris, the news that we had minerals was a big news to every young person in Karamoja. It came as hope because they thought this is an opportunity for them to engage meaningfully in something that brings money.
That's right.
But guess what is happening? It is not trickling down to benefit the lives of the young people. If you go to these mines, I think these people are getting less than what they expected. You know, the question of we have a very big number of young people in Karamoja who are not being engaged in anything meaningful. So we have all this lot of people. First of all, I must state that there is a very high rate of dropouts in school because of poverty. And therefore, these people they cannot apply for jobs because they are not qualified. And we have a big number from secondary to institutions of higher learning. There is a big number of people who fall out without joining there. So we have all that population becoming a problem to the society.
And maybe, like I was saying,
sure.
There is, like I said, there is no clear-cut method or strategy to ensure youth are engaged in this so-called mining.
On the part of the local
like you heard what he said, information, like the just rumors. There's no clear-cut method which is coming out clearly to absorb the youth in this. Even as leaders, we seem not to understand it properly. What is which part of it exactly should the youth participate in?
You address an issue that I was coming to. As leaders, how you address it matters.
Yes.
But most importantly, whichever way we look at it, the leaders in Karamoja understand the problem. And like you said before, there's been an effort to engage the government to be able to. However, there is sort of mistrust between the community leaders and the government perhaps. This mistrust trickles down to the communities and the locals, including the youth, who do not want to cooperate, so to speak. the government is very clear on what it wants. It wants to disarm and then usher in a new dispensation of peace. However, there are elements or people within the community who feel that perhaps cattle raiding and rustling is part of our tradition. Could that also be the problem?
I want to state that, my brother, that I believe that it is not that the Karamojong want to raid every time. There is only a small section of people. By the way, when we say Karamojongs, it's not that every person in Karamoja is bad. Across all the entire sub-region, yes, we interconnect like any other place, and everyone is against the raids that are happening. It is only a small section of people that is bothering the whole sub-region.
18% to 15%.
18% of the population.
Yes.
Is where the problem lies.
Yes.
Could and be. Leaders.
Everybody generally really have gone against this act. It is a smaller percentage now, criminal act. Actually, it is now a smaller fraction of all these raiding communities who participate. Generally, when people enjoy 10 years, people's mindset has changed. Now, these are like bandits, comrade. We need to be serious.
They are bandits.
We have called upon government to deal with them, not like Karamojong, but like bandits. Because you might find a person from, like you're saying, a person from Kotido is together with a person from Moroto, is together with a wrong man from Napak, from Kabong, coming together and raiding in Kotido itself. It is not the usual raids we talk about. This raid has organized crime embedded in it. There's organized crime embedded in this raid. It is not the usual cattle raid that is a Karamojong raid, cannot raid. I think we need to change the perspective. It is not. There's a clique of wrong elements who come together, the whole of Karamoja. They have now come together. Who raid the very Karamojong? They now don't bother. By the way, if your cows are raided after 2 hours, you find them in the lorry and they have gone. They have vanished.
You find them in a lorry.
They have boarded the lorry and the cows have vanished.
I was reading reports of cases of theft. That is the raids of cattle, and then apparently the cattle is moved 20 or 30 kilometers away from the village from which the heads of cattle have been taken, and then suddenly people cannot see the tracks of the cattle, as in either they should have crossed the road, so on the other side of the road they should see the tracks of the footsteps. Who is taking the cows? Who is loading the cows onto lorries? Be very honest with us. Who is loading these cows onto lorries?
Now, that maybe I say something. Yeah. Now that becomes the big question. That now these guys bought the lorries, and you know lorries don't pass in the bush. They followed the road.
They follow the road.
The road, there are roadblocks. By the there are roadblocks on this road where the lorries pass with the cows. What we are also investigating, who is taking the cows, because these cows now like I'm saying, the raiding is not usual. The cows don't pass in the bush anymore for a short time. Then the food marks disappear and now enter the lorry. These lorries pass the roads which are roadblocks. And the cows...
Roadblocks manned by the Uganda People's Defense Forces?
By the ASTU. Now, you would wonder, that raiding now takes place in the Quran and even on the road. Because if you allow a raider cow to pass, are you not also now a raider?
That's interesting.
So it is maybe let my colleague, the youth chairman.
Yes, I
had something about that.
I just want to say something about what
Please go ahead.
That is the question that we also ask ourselves. We have people in the army, we have people in the police. And this has been happening. We are not saying that insecurity is something that started in Karamoja yesterday. Yeah. This second wave began, I think, in 2017. And these are some of the questions that people have been asking. And I think this is it is one of the things that the young people, the people in the sub-region are discontented about. So, and that raises the question, and also there has been accusations that have been going around, that even the men and women in uniform are not very honest about this. Okay. There have been reports from the people that they are also engaged in this business. Perhaps people think the issue of insecurity in Karamoja is also a big business to some people.
You seem to suggest that there is systematic profiteering from cattle rustlers.
Some of them are arrested.
Yes. On the part of the security forces.
Some of them are arrested already. That's what
some of them?
They are arrested.
Okay.
Yes.
So you see that the security also has a role to be very honest in
well, for now, the security forces don't have an opportunity to respond to that. We shall, of course, be engaging them on some of the claims that you put forth, including reports, for example, that some of the cattle is put onto the lorries. But looking at the solutions that we need to be able to settle this issue so that there is sustainable peace in the region. As a leader, the parliamentary group has been vocal sometimes, but there seems to be internal politicking within the whole arrangement on how to go forward on what and when to push. I do not know whether this 18% of the community that you think is the problem, their leaders have not been made aware of that situation and put to task to either engage in community sensitization or even bring to book some of these individuals that they know. When you speak about organized crime doesn't happen without a mastermind. A mastermind could be a community leader. You, the political leaders, must have an idea who some of these masterminds are, even before you get to the point of the accusations that are being made against the Uganda People's Defense Forces and the other security or government agencies. Who are these people? Are they chiefs? Are they the guys who have the most animals on some of their farms or kraals, so to speak? We seem to know exactly what is happening. Have you engaged on that?
Comrade, thank you, Chris. Chris, like I told you, even before we were sworn in, we have taken trouble as the parliamentary group to engage our people ourselves. We thought we know ourselves better.
Yeah.
Yes. Can't these people who listen to us during campaigns, can they not listen to us now that they've elected us? That is the challenge we had in ourselves. We took trouble before we were sworn in to start. We moved all over Karamoja as members of parliament, appealing to our people, talking to the people you are talking about, engaging leadership at lower levels, mobilizing them to ensure we fight this crime ourselves. But like I've said, this is banditry. It's no longer the usual one which you thought.
It's no longer that community-based. You know, there's that aspect about the cow being the bank.
Actually, cows are now not raided for prestige. By the way, surprisingly, Karamoja partially used to raid for prestige, for marriage, for having, you know, the horns of the cow, you show your sign. But now it is commercialized.
Commercialization.
So now, talking peace, like our approach that we tried, we realize this is not the usual prestigious raiding that used to happen. We didn't know this was commercialized and banditry had entered.
Yeah.
Banditry had entered. So what do you mean the other traditional approach might be very challenging to apply?
To apply.
To apply.
So that leaves which options now?
Now, we gave very many options. These are our options. We said, first of all,
that looks like a litany of options. Can you quickly read through them?
Very good.
Yeah.
As Karamoja Parliamentary Group, we said, first of all, one is establish strong presence of UPDF on the land.
Okay.
We suggested, we made specific suggestion, which I might not read. Then expedite recovery of stolen animals. Expedite them. Because if you delay, you find they're not there. Now, the person who has not got his animals back, tell me what he will do next.
Compensation.
Now, if unfortunately compensation is taking place in other districts, other regions,
it's going
Karamoja
to roll,
is maybe. But the problem, the Karamoja want to compensate himself. That's not where the problem is. That's why they were talking about raiding.
The people are not patient.
The Karamoja, because you know the history, they believe they can compensate themselves. The man proceeds immediately the next morning. So,
all right, go ahead, read us the solutions.
Now, we said deploy in strategic criminal pathways. Arrest and prosecute criminals because they are bandits. Arrest and prosecute them. And then infrastructural development, security road in impassable areas to close the porous borders. The borders are so porous. People just walk into Karamoja and walk out of Karamoja. Normally, these are the same people. So where can you put security roads, deploy accordingly, and then close these routes where guns pass, because now there's gun business taking place. One of the good business in Karamoja now is gun trafficking. Selling bullets and arms has become very lucrative. And given that people are even poor, there's anger. My youth chairman alluded to anger. People now want to begin doing investors. Okay, the investors in security have now jumped in to connect the middle. And then compensation for stolen animals. They invest in civil-military collaboration. I alluded to it earlier.
Yeah.
Increase logistical support to UPDF. Now, review the decision of the coral protection. Comrade, you see, corals were being protected by UPDF. My youth chairman would allude to this. Corals were being protected by UPDF, which means there is reduced theft. Even if there's theft, it is reduced. So there's reduced revenge. But I think there's a decision reached that they should remove protection from the corals, leaving the cows at the mercy of these bandits. Taking the soldiers to the crossing points. We have discovered Karamoja, there's no crossing point. Everywhere is a crossing point. When the soldiers were removed from the protecting the animals, the bandits descended on people's animals. When the bandits descended on people's animals, I can assure you, the people also, there was mob justice on revenge. Everybody was saying also that I've stolen mine, so that is the outbreak.
That's a recipe for a very, very horrible situation if, for example, it de-escalates and everyone begins to look out for their own interests. But let me just get to the Mr. Ernest Ayen, the youth chairperson for Abim. The youth are critical to this whole thing, and it is believed that when cultural practices begin to change for the better because of aspects of modernity, you begin to look at the fact that you actually don't have to raid to be able to come and marry. You know, you need to be able to engage in more other activities that could help you get to be sustainable. Agriculture is widely seen as the next gateway to food security, the next gateway to transformation in terms of development. Are the youth in Karamoja embracing agriculture in any way, in any form?
Thank you very much. In my submission, I think I will get that captured.
Good.
Let me just try to, you know, he was talking about the immediate responses by the government.
By the government, yeah.
But I think this is not the first time that Karamoja is being disarmed, or the Karamojong is being disarmed. This is the second time. I don't think we've learned that this may not work every time. So for us as the youth, we are looking at the long-term solution to this problem. How can we make the Karamojongs feel they have something to lose so that they do not go to the bush? So what we are saying is this. First of all, the government must treat Karamoja as a special region in this when it comes to education. We want the government to state a position to, for example, accommodate most of the Karamojongs in school and finish. We've had we see very many projects, even skilling projects in other places and sub-regions that are making the youth in those places productive. But we are wondering why it can't come to our sub-region as Karamoja. So if we invest in education, right from technical schools to tertiary institutions to universities, and we have all these young people captured, we shall begin to reduce the number of young people in the bush. Secondly, we want the government to come out with programs that speak to the circumstances of Karamoja. We have seen the government sitting in Kampala in central places and designing programs, but when you go to the field, they do not trickle down to the lives of the young people. Those programs even fail before it starts. So we have very many programs, and we are even beginning to see the failure of those programs before they begin. So our view as the young people is that they should develop these programs according to the circumstances of the people there. The other issue is that you talked of agriculture. The major reason why we've always tried to get in touch with the ministers from Karamoja is to try to address the issue of agriculture, to speak to them, because as the young people, we've designed very many projects in agriculture that we think, first of all, can employ very many young people, that at the same time will help to change the mindset of these people and make them feel they are actually part of this country, and they now share the country, the government is, they feel that they are getting something from the government. That has been our engagement. We still continue to call upon them to listen to the young people. We have made attempts to make them feel that we, the young people, have the alternative. Listen to us. When you listen to us, these young people that you are crying about raiding every time, we shall try to reduce the raids that are happening in the subway.
Okay, just to bring some perspective into this regarding apparent respect on the part of the youth and the young males, particularly to the elders. There are some people who think that respect is no longer prevalent, especially for the elders, and that I don't know whether I pronounce this very well, Karachuna. Yeah, Karachuna, those are the, that growing, the feeling that the male youth should step up and perhaps be better people. There's a tendency among the young people everyone to want to go to do what they want to do. They want the money. If selling the gun can get them the money quickly, then that can go on. And that, in a way, continues to fuel the proliferation of guns within the communities there. Are youth willing to reveal, first of all, who has the guns? When they reveal who has the guns, what happens? Is there any form of threats? Are there retributions or revenge? That it could also be an issue. For example, if I go back to my village and I reveal that Chris has 4 guns with him, then Chris's community or the clan comes for my clan. Are there cases of such reprisals?
Yeah, I think that happens. That happens a lot because many people are scared to take back the guns. Because someone is scared to reveal my brother has a gun because they see you as a person who betrays the cycle. But all that comes, Chris, like I said, the insecurity in Karamoja is simply a symptom of an underlying condition.
And coupled with fear, like you say.
Yes, when we solve when we tackle the causative agent, and that is poverty, when we tackle education, when we tackle poverty, we are going to address these issues.
And Chairman, I wanted to bring this issue. You see,
quickly.
by 2016, revealing the gun was now a prestigious job. To reveal who had the gun, because peace had come. Peace had come. People had feared the gun. You know, people had feared the gun, and revealing the gun was now like a prestige. People feared. But now, with the incoming of the resurgence of insecurity, nobody now has the will to disclose because they believe that is their source of livelihood. They are not being protected. So revealing gun, I've seen move side by side with the presence of security and protection. So there's an increasing fear brought in by the resurgence of insecurity, coupled with already there's what they used to call now, who knows? Who knows? That used to be there.
No.
Yeah. The community begins to be resistant. In order to disclose, because they believe that is their source of survival now. But when peace is really, when the UPDF exert authority and the protection is seen, people begin to come out. But now you can see they are murdering. People are even being killed if you're in a peace committee.
The security.
Even leaders, yes. If they see you moving with the security personnel, like moving with even Gisus are being killed. With a soldier. They say you have revealed, you have reported them. They come and eliminate you. They come and so sometimes now even people just fear for their lives.
But how do you want the UPDF, for example, to act on that? If, for example, there are efforts to guarantee security, but this guarantee of security is seen by locals as collaboration, isn't this a bigger problem that you actually suggest?
My brother.
If I
can start very quickly.
Now,
we've got to wrap it up.
I think,
because that's some way forward.
First of all, I think that the suggestion by the locals, you know, we said there are 2 communities in Karamoja. There is the raiding community, a small raiding community, and also there is a peaceful community.
Okay.
What we are saying is, one, the government must put in place what they call home guards. In those home guards in those.
Another solution too.
2, they must deploy in those active areas where
home guards deploy in active areas.
Yes, that is where we think the government should collaborate with the locals so that they feel that they are engaged in this.
In fact,
in 10 seconds, what's the
just to enlarge it?
Ochero.
Like I said,
don't enlarge it. Just
to say, first is there should be massive deployment in Karamoja.
Massive deployment.
Maximum protection of the kraals, so that no single animal is stolen. That should be done in raiding communities.
3.
Maximum deployment. Secondly, these communities that don't raid, like I said, we need, there has been a system of home guards that also keep the animals there. Since there are not too much raiding there, we can have home guard like it used to be. Government should restore back the home guard, like Karamoja and Abim. They don't need much deployment of UPDF. The home guard that used to guard them can be re-energized and brought back to guard them, to make the UPDF have a ample time and enough force to concentrate on the raiding communities.
Very interesting, and many thanks, gentlemen, for this particular conversation. We can have it anytime, and of course continue the discussion on other platforms. But Mr. Jimbricky Ochero, the MP for Labwor, many thanks for making it to give us perspective on what's happening in Karamoja region. We do appreciate, and of course we do appreciate too Mr. Ernest Ayen, the youth chairperson for Abim district. Our apologies for anything that has not been sufficiently discussed. There is always an opportunity to continue the discussion. You're watching Morning at NTV. I'm Chris Higenyi. We shall now go into a short break, and of course there is more exciting programming to continue this morning. Stay with us.